It's Thursday, July 31st. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A vehicle slams through the front of a downtown Halifax hotel. 2 men are charged with shooting fireworks at a man on a street.
A few showers Friday morning for Nova Scotia, but the long weekend still starts Sunday.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. On this last day of July, at the height of summer tourism season, business came to a screeching halt at a busy downtown Halifax hotel when a pickup crashed through the front of the building and into the lobby. CTV's Emma Convey shows us the aftermath.
A large emergency response at this busy downtown Halifax hotel just before 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Our officers responded to a single vehicle collision into the Cambridge Suites Hotel, located in the 1500 block of Brunswick Street.
The vehicle involved was a white pickup truck. Police deemed the incident to be an accident.
And it appears that his foot may have slipped, causing the vehicle to travel backwards into the building.
The front entrance was shattered, but despite the big scene, only 2 minor injuries came of this. The driver has some bumps and bruises, while a bystander got a cut to her head.
There was one woman that was injured by some glass, and she was treated on scene by EHS.
Police say incidents like this do occur from time to time, but those in the area are just grateful it wasn't any worse.
They can afford it. Hope it's not too much damage, but nobody's hurt. Nobody's too upset, looks like it, so life carries on.
Obviously, it seems like everyone's okay, but they were really great about it and really accommodating and, no complaints.
Made a big mess. Didn't look like anyone was hurt, which was good. I'm glad they cleaned it up pretty quick. They're already pretty much done with it.
Police say alcohol was not a factor, and no charges have been laid. Cleanup is well underway, shattered glass cleared from the scene, and repairs already taking place. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
A convicted murderer who is considered a high risk is now living in the Dartmouth area. Halifax police say the 73-year-old man, whose life sentence was cut short, is living in the community with conditions. CTV's Vanessa Wright reports.
Halifax police say 73-year-old Douglas Worth, a federal offender, is now living in the Dartmouth area. Worth has a criminal history dating back to 1968 for offenses including rape, theft, and breaking and entering. But it was the 1987 murder and dismemberment of a young girl in Brampton, Ontario, that landed him a life sentence until now.
In Canada, life in prison really doesn't mean life in prison. The vast majority of offenders will be released.
Criminology professor Michael Boudreau says Worth's age may have been a factor in his sentence being cut short.
They may have taken into account his age and may have thought that he no longer poses a risk to the public or to reoffend. He may have also shown remorse and taken responsibility for his past criminal deeds. But that may be cold comfort for the people living near him in Dartmouth.
If I were raising a family of children, I would be concerned. I would want to know where this person was living, and it would be a concern.
Well, CTV News reached out to Halifax police for comment, but they repeatedly denied our requests for an on-camera interview.
The 73-year-old will have to abide by several rules, including no contact with children or his victims, no drugs or alcohol, and must inform police about any relationships.
Are there people who feel like, someone who's able to get back into society with his type of record, do people feel like that may be a blind spot in the criminal justice system?
I'm sure they do, and what these individual cases tend to do is erode a bit of faith or trust on the part of the public in the criminal justice system.
Meanwhile, police are encouraging people not to engage in any vigilante activity or unreasonable conduct.
The police should at least let the people know in advance that they're planning on having this individual come into their living situation, their living neighborhood, and I think people should have the opportunity to vote on that.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Dartmouth.
And we have more on this case at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Halifax police are conducting an investigation after a series of assaults took place last night. They say are all related. Around 7 o'clock, officers responded to reports that a man had been hit by a vehicle on Africville Road in the city's north end.
Our officers did locate the man. Also, they located a woman who was assaulted, or had been injured, excuse me. Both of those parties were transported to the hospital with serious injuries. Shortly after, at approximately 20 after 7, our officers were dispatched to Memorial Drive area, where there was reports of a man who was assaulted as well. 2 vehicles had pulled up and a group of people assaulted the male.
The suspects are believed to be known to each other. Anyone with any information is being asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. In the last hour, Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources announced the forest fire at Big Indian Lake near Halifax is contained. It set off alarms in a nearby community familiar with wildfire. As CTV's Hafsa Arif reports, for many people living in Upper Tantallon, it brought back some painful memories.
Just 2 years ago, Andrew Vey was sifting through the ruins of his home, trying to salvage what little the fire didn't take. And yesterday's alert about a wildfire not far from his neighborhood brought him right back.
I think I just had to tell myself, until you know the worst case scenario, try not to dwell on what might be and just focus on being here with the family right now, kind of thing.
The Department of Natural Resources were called yesterday to douse the flames near Big Indian Lake. Today they remain on the ground, making sure it stays that way.
The fire isn't growing anymore, but the crews want to do a bit more work before they're going to confidently declare it under control.
The fire is being held at 0.5 hectares with no homes at risk, but these fires are burning deep and taking more time to put out.
Some of the burning material can be quite deep into the ground, and then it just takes a bit of wind and dry conditions, and then that fire just comes back up to the surface, and then it turns into a wildfire.
For Vey, who rebuilt and moved back just a year ago, the memory of 2023 lingers.
In the last 3 years, it's only our second year in the home, but it's an entirely different home than it was when we first moved in. 6 DNR staff are at the scene. The cause of the fire is unknown and under investigation.
Under these conditions, what we find is a lot of people probably don't realize how much effort is required to fully extinguish the fires when they walk away from them.
As fire crews keep an eye on things, a province-wide burn ban is in effect until mid-October or until conditions improve. Todd?
Hafsa Arif in Tantallon this evening. New Brunswick's Susan Holt is one of several premiers who have signed a letter to the Prime Minister urging Ottawa to get a deal done with the U.S. on softwood lumber. Tens of thousands of jobs in the province and many more nationwide are at risk if punishing tariffs remain. CTV's Derek Haggett reports.
There's uncertainty within the provincial government on the eve of the deadline for trade negotiations with the United States.
There's a mood of a real instability, right? What's going to come tomorrow? It's really hard to predict.
If U.S. President Donald Trump's deadline comes and goes without an agreement, it could mean 35% tariffs on certain goods. That would hit New Brunswick's forest industry hard. So Holt penned a letter to the Prime Minister, co-signed by 6 other premiers, asking him to make it a priority.
An industry that's critical to our country, not just our province, get included in the conversations and the negotiations with the U.S.
Over 26,000 New Brunswickers are directly employed by the forestry sector. But Holt says tariffs could hit some Americans hard too.
I was meeting with the governor of New Hampshire not too long ago, and their logs come into our province for processing and go back down. This is going to really hurt that particular Republican state.
For woodlot owners, there was anxiety about the industry even before last week's threat of additional duties.
You know, the margins are so thin right now that, you know, any extra cost being passed on to woodlot owners and wood producers is going to be the end for sure. There's no question about it.
Holt has a lot of faith in Canada's negotiating team, but says no new deal may be better than a bad one.
The only thing we want to emerge from tomorrow is a better deal than the one we have today. And if that's not available, then I think the Prime Minister is prepared to walk away from the table.
Time will tell on trade talks. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
There's a live look right now at Lunenburg, 19 degrees, as we bring in meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell for our first look at the forecast. And Kaylin, we just had Huffs on talking about very dry conditions, a bit of relief in sight, perhaps?
Yeah, well, a little bit more welcome wet weather coming in this evening, tonight, lingering into Friday morning. For Nova Scotia in particular, there's some showers coming up. We'll take a look at them on satellite and radar in just a moment. Most of the showers, though, don't look like they're going to be landing in parts of New Brunswick or Prince Edward Island. Temperatures for anybody heading out first part of this evening, they're mostly in the range of around 19 to 23 degrees currently. There is still a lingering level of humidity in areas of Nova Scotia. So humidex values there, making it feel up towards the high 20s in some areas, especially towards the Atlantic coastal counties. That humidity is going to be coming down a little bit as we head into the start of the weekend. Winds right now relatively light, a little bit variable in direction, mostly only being sustained between around 5 and 15 kilometers per hour. No wind gusts to show you. Taking a look at things on satellite and radar, there's the wet weather that I mentioned. So it's really filled in here across the southwest of Nova Scotia, but some lighter showers making its way up the south shore towards the Halifax area as well. There's expected to be a little bit more that comes through as we move through the night, as we can follow that wet weather back to its source, which is out of the northeastern United States. You can see it's moving right along that line, which is kind of brushing through the province of Nova Scotia. As I mentioned, holds on into Friday morning, and then after that looks like it'll be clearing off towards the east. Expectations for rainfall amounts out of this, in a lot of cases, it looks like it's going to be relatively light, a few to several millimeters. It's similar to rainfall totals that we saw in parts of the province last night into this morning. It is possible that a few areas of the south shore of the province pick up some locally higher amounts in the range around 10 to 20 millimeters. Todd, as you mentioned, though, we'll take any wet weather we can get at this point in time, and we'll really want it because the weekend forecast, long weekend forecast at the start of next week, not high on the prospects for rain during that period of time, and all details of that later on.
Yeah, okay, we'll see you for the full forecast in about 14 minutes. Thanks, Kaylin. The family of the kayaker who went missing near Shediac last week is desperately trying to find him days after the RCMP called off its search. CTV's Maria Saru has the latest.
It's very suffering right now, still wondering and still searching.
Luc Bourgeois' dad and uncles climb aboard, strap in and snap on headsets. They know the odds and are expecting the worst, but they're flying anyway.
I think we accepted what we're hoping to find, and we're coming to terms with it. It's tough, but we're not going to stop till we find him. We need some closure.
Last Thursday, the 34-year-old went kayaking, launching from the wharf in Pointe-du-Chêne, New Brunswick, and never came home. Shediac RCMP stopped their search after 3 days, leaving his loved ones to take the lead.
Those resources kind of started to die down, and none of us have done this before.
They turned to Facebook, and thousands of strangers stepped up, looking for Bourgeois by land and sea in coastal communities across his home province and PEI. People walked beaches and forest edges, drove sea-doos through coves and wharves, but being on the boats is dangerous and slow.
Aerial is key, especially right now. So the waters were rough for a few days.
You're able to do a lot of grounds within a very short amount of time.
Up in the sky, they can scan kilometers in minutes, see the bottom of the ocean floor, and check the surface for Bourgeois' body. Today's time on the helicopter was free, but the next flight isn't guaranteed. For those who want to help, there's more information on the Bring Luke Home Facebook page. Maria Saru, CTV News, Summerside, Prince Edward Island.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Center Society marked a major milestone today.
And the importance of respecting and learning from the natural world, including trees.
A sprouting ceremony and symbolic tree planting was held at its future site at the edge of downtown Halifax. The center, under construction, will serve as a cultural and community hub, offering critical supports and programming for the city's urban Indigenous population. The ceremony symbolized new growth for the center's construction and its mission, an opportunity to update the public on its progress as well. All right, we'll step aside for our first break of the evening. And on the other side, we have that story about two men charged for setting off fireworks at another individual. There is showers moving in, as you heard from Kalen, into Nova Scotia anyway. He'll have his full report. But next, benefit or bust?
Teamwork.
After 30 years of amalgamation, whether it worked depends on really who you ask in Cape Breton. We'll have that story next. Two New Brunswick men have been arrested and charged with a rather unusual crime. They allegedly attacked a man with fireworks. CTV's Nick Moore is with us in our Fredericton studio. Nick, you've been looking into the case?
Well, good evening, Todd. Blackville RCMP says it received a report of an assault at around 10:30 p.m. on Route 108 in Quarryville. Police say they were told that a man was walking down the side of the road when he was approached by a vehicle. The man says two individuals got out of the vehicle and began shooting live fireworks at him several times before taking off. RCMP say the victim sustained minor injuries, and police have since charged 19-year-old Nathan Lee Gillespie of Blackville in connection to the assault. Gillespie appeared in Miramichi Provincial Court on Monday, where he was charged with using explosives with intent to do bodily harm, assault with a weapon, possession of a weapon contrary to an order, failure to comply with a probation order, and resisting arrest. On Tuesday, RCMP arrested a second 19-year-old man from Blackville in connection to the investigation. Prior to the RCMP making these arrests public, video claiming to show the incident from Friday night had been circulating on social media. Police have not verified if this is in fact video of the incident or if it is connected to their investigation in any way. Police are asking for more information from the public, and that people who have information should contact Blackville RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Gillespie has been remanded into custody, and police say he is scheduled to appear in court at a later date. The unnamed 19-year-old individual who was arrested, that person has been released on conditions, and they're expected to appear back in court in November. Todd.
All right, Nick, thank you for that from our Fredericton studio this evening. Tomorrow marks 30 years since the former cities and towns that made up what was then known as Industrial Cape Breton amalgamated to become the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. Anniversary events kicked off today. But as CTV's Ryan McDonald found out, while some see success, others see struggle.
Teamwork.
With a ribbon cutting to officially open a new section of the Sydney Boardwalk, celebrations got underway for the Cape Breton Regional Municipality's 30th anniversary of amalgamation.
The fact that we've gone from managing decline to now managing growth, and I'd much rather manage growth.
On August 1st, 1995, 8 former cities and towns, including Glace Bay, North Sydney, and New Waterford, merged to form the CBRM. While the past few decades have included struggles like years of population decline and loss of industries, the city's mayor feels it has been turning a corner.
We went from what was, a forced amalgamation to now a celebrated coming together, a community of communities, and that spirit will be shared through our 30th year celebrations across the CBRM.
Hoping to see more young people get involved, young people like myself who ran for council.
This 21-year-old who put his name on a ballot in last year's municipal election wasn't born at the time of amalgamation, but says there are situations when people in the former cities and towns seem to feel like they have lost some of their autonomy.
There are the times where people are arguing that sometimes individual places like Glace Bay have specific needs that need to be met, but where we're standing right now, I feel like our amalgamation is definitely strong.
The municipality is not without its issues, among them the hundreds of abandoned buildings in all the former cities and towns, including this one directly across the street from City Hall.
As one of the volunteers, maybe I shouldn't be so impatient, but I think that time is moving on.
Pat Bates has been pushing for years for CBRM to replace its aging library. While he points to positives like the influx of new residents from out of country, he says that kind of migration means all the more need for a new build.
And we are aware, of course, of what's going on in other large communities in the Atlantic. Charlottetown, Fredericton, St. John's, Newfoundland, Halifax too, of course. And it's only common sense that Sydney should be adjusting.
Mayor Clark says other issues that ought to be addressed in the near future include aging infrastructure, the need to meet regulatory requirements, and improvements to basic services, including transportation. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Still to come in your newscast tonight, showers will mostly clear Friday morning. Kaylin has the details. We would welcome that rain. Looking rather gray in downtown Moncton towards the Dominion building. There is such a thing as the dog days of summer.
Yes.
Right.
Generally accepted to be July 3rd through August 11th. So, yeah, well, I would say we're squarely in the dog days now.
What are the dates again? I cut you off.
July 3rd to August 11th is generally accepted to be the dog days of summer in North America. The definition probably varies from region.
Characterized by?
Heat.
Yeah, got it.
Humidity.
Got it.
Sudden thunderstorms.
Yeah, got it.
Had a few of those. Yeah. In New Brunswick. Lethargy. How you feeling, Todd? You feeling energetic?
Another half hour. Ask me in 10 minutes.
All right, we'll ask Todd in 10 minutes from now. Let's take a look at weather conditions across the country. You know, speaking of heat, there's a lot of heat warnings starting to come into place in western parts of the country right now as temperatures starting to climb. 27 at Prince George at this hour, 26 at Edmonton, 33 though at Fort McMurray up to the north of Alberta, and Yellowknife's hot as well, sitting at 29 degrees, 26 at Saskatoon, sunshine right now at Winnipeg, and 24 degrees. Moving off towards the east, temperatures have come down parts of Ontario and Quebec to, which is probably a more comfortable level, mostly sitting around the low to mid-20s. There was some cooling in the temperatures today in the Maritimes, though a lot of mugginess still held on in areas of Nova Scotia, so humidex values were still making it feel into the high 20s, some even near 30 late in the afternoon. St. John's right now sitting at 19 degrees. Taking a look at our forecast timeline for cloud cover and precipitation. We talked about this earlier, but we do have some further showers moving into Nova Scotia this evening and tonight. It's along a very slow-moving weather front, stalled out near the Atlantic coastline of that province and tapping into some wet weather that's making its way across the northeastern United States. Looks like there'll be a little bit of a break in the shower activity a little bit later this evening before they redevelop during the overnight hours and are present for Friday morning. Now, from Friday morning into Friday afternoon, those showers are expected to clear off to the east, and then in behind it, it'll be mostly sunny for New Brunswick. Actually, it'll be mostly sunny for New Brunswick throughout much of the day for tomorrow. Prince Edward Island, a fair weather mix of sun and cloud, and Nova Scotia, so that wet weather's around during the start of the day, but in the afternoon should be clearing out. The sun starts to break through. There'll be further clearing for that province as we move into Friday evening and Friday night. That happening as an area of high pressure is moving in from the west. That's going to be sitting over the Maritimes for the start of the weekend, which means we get the August long weekend started with plenty of sunshine. Winds the forecast for tonight, generally light. Tomorrow's winds out of the north and northeast, they pick up just a little bit, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with gusts between 20 and 40. The somewhat breezier conditions will be mostly around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. Gustier conditions out at Sable Island for tomorrow. Some peak wind gusts up to around 60 kilometers per hour. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight. Coolest part of the region will be the northern areas of New Brunswick. 6 to 10 degrees there. The remainder of New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island mostly looking at lows in the low teens. Then for Nova Scotia, with the somewhat higher level of humidity in the air, most of the low temperatures will be around the mid-teens. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick will be between 22 and 24 degrees. Very sunny day. Clearing to become mostly sunny for central and southern areas of New Brunswick with high temperatures between 21 and 25, including 25 for Fredericton, 23 for Heartland, 22 around Grand Manan and Campobello. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow with high temperatures in the low 20s, 20 to 23 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. In eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, most of the high temperatures will be in the high teens and low 20s, 19 to 23 there. The Amherst for tomorrow with high near 23. 24 at Truro, City Centers, Halifax, and Dartmouth near 19 degrees. The Annapolis Valley with highs near 24 for tomorrow. Then on the South Shore and in the southwest of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures between 18 and 21. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick coming up on Saturday. It's sunshine, highs in the mid to high 20s. High 20s on Sunday. There'll be a chance of a shower or thunderstorm in northern areas of the province. A mix of sun and cloud for Monday and Tuesday of next week. Does look like it is going to be on the hotter side. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, despite a chance of showers on Wednesday. For Nova Scotia, sunshine for Saturday, high temperatures in the low to mid-20s, mid to high 20s on Sunday. And then mostly high 20s expected on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Temperatures a little bit more moderate in parts of the coast. Chance of showers on Wednesday, and then after that Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud and still hot. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, sunshine on Saturday, highs near 23, up to 26 on Sunday with a mix of sun and cloud, 24 on Monday, mid to high 20s in the forecast after that for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, Todd.
Very good. We'll see you at the end of the show, Kaylin. Next, we'll talk about how new Canadians are struggling with our banking system, and then the sweet, sunny sounds of Bahamas on the scene.
Hey, it's Bahamas, and I can't wait to play at the Red Farm field trip this weekend in Cape Breton, and you'll hear more about it coming up.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Super fun and super cheap summer activities in the Maritimes tomorrow at 7.
And Foodie Friday just after 8. We try out something that comes in a can and is under $2.
If you saw the show last night, you know we told you about a survey indicating the vast majority of Canadians are concerned about their financial situation. Well, tonight, a new study takes a different angle on finances, looking at newcomers and money. Mohammed Kara is Associate Vice President with TD, which conducted this survey, and we're happy to have him with us tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Happy to be here.
So you found that, in fact, new Canadians are really struggling with finances once they get to this country.
We have found that. We've learned that, while newcomers to Canada arrive with super strong motivation, entrepreneurial ambition, they often face so many challenges navigating our financial system. Our research shows that in Atlantic Canada, especially, 2/3 of newcomers say it's been difficult to manage their finances since arriving, highest rate across the country. Many report super low levels of understanding about banking, investing, even the state of the economy, basic building blocks to helping build that financial confidence. These are fundamental barriers that can prevent people from achieving their potential when it comes to establishing a life in Canada.
Mohammed, what's their top concerns? Are they fear making mistakes while navigating the system?
Honestly, it's access to information. It's access to clear, culturally relevant, and timely financial education. And again, this is an issue we saw nationwide. I want to touch on a couple of points that are specific to Atlantic Canada, where 48% of newcomers say they actually have little to no understanding of the Canadian banking system. Almost 60% say the same about information relating to investing. These are the highest figures nationally. Even those with financial literacy and a lot of experience in their home countries, they're unfamiliar with Canadian-specific tools, products, services, even the basic terminology we use to do our banking here in Canada. So it's not a lack of ambition, it's not a lack of education or ability, it's really the lack of access to what I mentioned as clear, culturally relevant, and timely financial education.
So what needs to change?
TD, as a major bank in Canada, alongside our peers in the financial industry and corporate Canada, have a responsibility, have a huge role to play and an important responsibility to actually improve that access to information. We take it upon ourselves. We offer banking services in our branches coast to coast in over 50 languages. We offer over 200 languages and support over the phone and digitally in over 10 languages. We know how important it is for customers to come into a branch and actually find colleagues and advisors that look like them, that have been where they've been, and that actually provide culturally relevant, appropriate, and relevant information to them. And so that's something we pride ourselves on and something we continue to invest in. When it comes to the type of education, the type of information we share with newcomers, there's a lot to be said about actually doing the work to translate that into concepts that they may be familiar with from their home country. A lot of times we're talking about the same products, just different names, and it's up to us to understand that and to identify those barriers early so we can solve it and truly get to the meat of the matter, which is helping these newcomers contribute to the Canadian economy and meet their own financial goals.
Okay, let me pick up on that. How does that frustration, perhaps, with the banking system, how does that translate into, missed productivity, opportunity?
So, one example here is we know how strong the entrepreneurial spirit is among newcomers. We know that almost half of them exhibit a desire to start a business early on in their tenure in Canada, and not having access to the right tools and the education to actually get started early on the right foot will put them at a disadvantage when it comes to realizing those entrepreneurial ambitions. And when you look at, again, this example of running small businesses, that's to the detriment of the Canadian economy as a whole, if we're not able to foster these entrepreneurial ambitions and capabilities of these newcomers in a way that benefits Canadians across the country.
Do newcomers find it expensive?
I think cost of living is a concern for Canadians across the board. And obviously with newcomers coming from different economic situations, there's different things that they may find challenging when they come to Canada. If you think about things like inflation, you know, they may be coming from countries with higher inflation to countries to Canada, which typically has a more stable regime. But they may be used to, on the inverse side, higher interest rates for their savings account. So a lot of this is also, comes down to the level of education, the way you can kind of connect some of the concepts and some of the economic norms in Canada to what they may be used to in their home country.
Is there a greater issue at play here? We don't teach financial literacy in schools for the most part. It's not something that people necessarily grow up learning. They learn at the hand of their parents, or maybe they fumble their way through it.
There's a huge opportunity to improve access to financial education, not just for newcomers, but for Canadians that have been here, that are established here as well. And we do, we play a large role in helping improve that access, and we want to do more. We encourage our peers in the financial system and corporate Canada overall to do more. A couple of examples, we recognize the fact that newcomers are increasingly doing research on Canada and on their, other countries as well prior to even arriving. And so we've partnered with a company called Canada Visa that is basically a Wikipedia for immigrants, and has not only news but resources, tools, calculators, things like that can actually help them understand what it'll take to establish a life in Canada. And so we partner with them to make financial literacy material, different formats, articles, webinars available. Over half of that audience isn't actually in Canada yet. And so we're reaching these populations before they even arrive. Within the country, our partnerships on things like Money Matters with ABC Life Literacy, these are really meant to augment, but specifically focus on financial literacy, financial education. And again, not just for newcomers, but for all Canadians.
Well, certainly something to think about, Mohammed Kar. Thank you for your time with TD tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more of your local news.
The opinions expressed in this segment are solely those of the commentator. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of this station, CTV News, Bell Media, or its employees.
Tonight, Steve Murphy has some thoughts on strategies to deal with Donald Trump, and has some reminders for Canadian negotiators.
Politicians often get in trouble for not telling the truth. Prime Minister Mark Carney seems to have riled some of his critics for speaking the truth. The Prime Minister said Canada is unlikely to get a trade deal with Donald Trump that doesn't include tariffs of some kind. Now, if that doesn't sound like a good deal for us, that's because Mr. Trump doesn't do deals that benefit anyone else. It's no secret. Long before The Apprentice, let alone the presidency, Donald Trump put his name on the cover of a book called The Art of the Deal. It was a New York Times bestseller, #1 for 13 weeks in 1987. A lot of what people believe about Donald Trump, the businessman, is based on what is in that book. And many of the people who voted for Donald Trump said they wanted the man who wrote the book to be president. But the trouble is, Donald Trump didn't actually write the book. That honor goes to journalist Tony Schwartz, who is credited as a co-author. Schwartz has since described writing it as his greatest regret. He confesses to having helped create a monster, a man who lies without hesitation. Schwartz once told the New Yorker magazine, Trump only takes two positions. Either you're a scummy loser or you're the greatest. People are disposable. Schwartz concluded Trump is always in it for himself, always in it for the money. So as Canada ponders a new relationship with the United States, it's important to remember the truth about Trump. There's no art in what he does, and there are no deals that don't benefit himself. For Canada, it's likely only a question now of whether no deal is better than whatever Trump is willing to offer. I'm Steve Murphy.
And Steve will return. In health and medical headlines, a look at the importance of resetting your students' sleep schedule before the school year begins. CTV's Suzette Beliveau has more in the Thursday edition of The Lifeline.
The summer is winding down and the school year is inching closer. If your student's sleep schedule is a bit off, you can start to reset that routine before school starts back. Pediatrician Dr. Carolyn Weingart says walk back their bedtime, but do it gradually. Make sure all phones and other devices are put away, ideally at least an hour before bed, in order to get their brain into sleep mode. Focus on what time they wake up. Have them start getting out of bed at the time they'll need for school. And while she says it's okay to sleep in a little on the weekends, keep their wake-up time within an hour of when they'll get out of bed during the week. It seems the future of care may be robots. A conference in China is talking about the future of robots in the nanny industry. A nanny robot can work in elder care, schooling, or household services, doing nursing, monitoring health, and offering companionship. Industry experts say the cost of building nanny robots is going down, and their use is expected to skyrocket over the next few years. It's the kind of fat stored around internal organs. Visceral fat is known to contribute to multiple health problems, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even cancer. Health officials say getting rid of that deep belly fat can help you be healthier. And being active is key. Work movement into your daily life, taking breaks to go for a walk, taking the stairs, or parking further away, all can help. A healthy diet is also important. Steer away from sweets and towards whole foods like lean sources of protein, fresh fruits, and veggies. Healthcare professionals say it's essential to get good quality sleep every night, too. With health and medical news, I'm Suzette Beliveau for The Lifeline.
We're on the scene with Katie Kelly. Katie, it's a field trip and everybody's invited.
That's right, Todd. It's a brand new celebration of East Coast music set against a picture-perfect backdrop. The Red Farm Field Trip is bringing the party to Cape Breton, featuring a who's who of maritime music royalty. Sloan, Gordy Sampson, Jody and Dylan Guthrow, Morgan Toney, Amelie Sampson, and even one adopted East Coaster.
Oh, I'm honored. I'm honored that you would even call me a maritimer in any respect. I've been here 6 years now and love it. I ain't afraid of nothing because I know I got nothing to hide.
Bahamas, who now calls Nova Scotia home, is excited to share the stage with local friends like Sloan.
Always loved hanging out with them and just hearing them play. And we kind of couldn't be more different musically. You know, I'm playing solo and just playing my tender little love songs on my acoustic guitar. And then those guys can come out and really rock out and finish the show in a big way.
The Red Farm is a 400-acre property in Howie Centre, just outside of Sydney. The energy promises to feel familiar to any maritimer who loves a summer field party packed with good tunes. For Bahamas, playing for an East Coast crowd, especially in a setting like this, is something special.
Well, I feel like they're just true music fans, you know, especially in a place like Cape Breton. So, I think in general, my experience has always been people are just so grateful and happy that you're there. And so what a nice place to be as a performer.
Mama, you could end this war with half your love.
With a stacked lineup, stunning views, and that unbeatable Cape Breton hospitality, the Red Farm Field Trip is ready to become a new summer tradition. Bahamas is ready to bring his acoustic solo set to the field and is looking forward to connecting with the crowd in a big way.
Something about playing in that format really just sort of promotes like campfire vibe, sing-along vibe, and also just like it's a nice challenge for me as a performer to try and sort of present the material in this way and really feel like it kind of connects with people. So I've been trying to play a little bit more like that, and just looking forward to doing that in Cape Breton.
Bahamas, Gordy, Sloan, Guthrows, that's the lineup of the year.
I know. It's really good. And it's the venue of the year. So this is a relatively new location for shows. How cool does that look? I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome.
That's our Daryl Reeves who got those
those drone shots.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And a reminder about our latest contest talking about festivals.
Yes, and before I do that, I'm just going to get you a little bit extra pumped.
New Brunswick, it's Luke Bryan here, and I cannot wait to come party with y'all at YQM Country Fest this August. Get your tickets, and I'll see y'all there. New Brunswick, it's Luke.
Or you could win them right now. CTV and YQM Country Fest want you to enjoy some country in the city. Some of the biggest names in country music are headed for DF New Brunswick, like Luke Bryan. Plus, Kane Brown, Jelly Roll, and a whole lot more. They're going to hit the stage at YQM Country Fest August 21st to 23rd. One lucky viewer will win a YQM Country Fest prize package, which includes 4 VIP tickets, 3 nights at Delta Hotel's Beau Séjour in Moncton, a $200 St. James Gate gift certificate, and a $100 Shell gas card. To enter, scan the QR code on your screen or go to ctvatlantic.ca and follow the contest prompts. The contest ends Saturday at 6 p.m. But you could be there to see Luke Bryan and all the rest in person.
And Katie Kelly.
Yes, I'll be there. I don't miss a second of that festival.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
See you in a minute. In our market report, the Dow Jones had something of a slide today, down 330 points. Some of the major tech companies are reporting their latest earnings this week. Let's go to Marilla Fernandez for details.
Apple reported earnings today after the North American stock markets closed. Apple reported very strong iPhone sales, bringing in $44.5 billion in its latest quarter. The stock was up in after-hours trading, but shares still haven't recovered from the April low. Investors have been worried that Apple isn't executing a strong AI plan. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is down again today to 72.18. West Texas Intermediate dropped to 69.26. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it up to 57.03. And the TSX dropped 110 points today, ending the day at 27.259. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Kayla Mitchell's on the weather deck with a piece of television equipment we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
The umbrella. Light rain falling right now in the north end of Halifax. There's some light rain, some showers moving into Nova Scotia this evening and tonight, and some wet weather likely to start the day for tomorrow. Most of New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island expected to remain out of that wet weather. Same thing goes actually for large parts of Cape Breton. We'll talk more about it in the day planner in a moment. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. This is a nice shot coming in from Anthony Nazaire, and this was coming in from Wednesday when it was sunnier. And we're looking out here at the McDonald Bridge, the Nova Scotia flag there. I want to thank Anthony very much for sharing this picture. It's coming in out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And Dartmouth for tomorrow. Yeah, starting off the day with some of this rain and the showers around, high temperature near 19 degrees. The wet weather, though, is expected to be clearing for the afternoon. So day planner for tomorrow. Sunny start to the day or clearing for the province of New Brunswick. Mix of sun and cloud for Prince Edward Island. And there's the rain and the showers in place for areas of Nova Scotia, which then clears off the Atlantic coastline as we move into and through the afternoon. There will be some further clearing as far as the cloudiness goes for Nova Scotia Friday evening and night. A lot of high temperatures tomorrow in the Maritimes are going to be around the low to mid 20s, except close to the high teens around parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, that is. Winds for tomorrow in the region will be out of the north and northeast, and they're going to be sustained between 10 and 20 kilometers per hour, a few gusts between 20 and 40. And as we talked about earlier, after that, looks like it's going to be a sunny start to the August long weekend. Now let's find out what's coming up tomorrow on CTV Morning Live.
Friday on CTV Morning Live, shucks.
Yep, we're joined by Chef Joe Martin and get a delicious recipe for baked oysters ahead of this year's PEI Shellfish Festival.
News, weather, and more. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, Friday.
And that's going to do it for us tonight. That is our look at the day here at home. See it again now on CTV2. Bruce Frisco is here with the late update at 11:30. Get updates online at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. I'm Todd Battis. See you here tomorrow night at 6. Until then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.